Welcome to Tzu Chi This Week. I'm Wendy Chen. It's good to have you with us. Coming up in this week's headlines, we look at how Tzu Chi volunteers around Taiwan are working together to help the flood victims of Typhoon Talim. We join volunteers in Sydney, Australia, who came together before the Dragon Boat Festival to make vegetarian Zhu Chi to raise funds for the needy. And in the Philippines' Quezon City, Tzu Chi is distributing rice to 887 households, some of whom received help from the NGO after a fire disaster in 2009. First up in Taiwan, as the alert for Typhoon Talim was lifted, local residents from Lai village in Pingtung County could finally return home after 3 days of sheltering at the permanent housing down the mountain. However, seeing the raging river, local residents decided to flee their homes again to prevent any loss.
This is Lai village in Pingtung County. Through the camera, we can see that the water is flowing rapidly. According to local residents, today's water level is actually the lowest in the last 3 days. Right now, it is just 1 meter away from the ground. So starting from lunchtime, some local residents have returned home.
It is a bit dangerous here. The barrier should be 5 to 6 meters higher.
Returning to their home for the very first time after the heavy rainfall, local residents are concerned about the water level. However, to many, this village is where they belong.
We are worried that the roads may be cut off if another heavy storm hits. No one can be sure about it.
To prevent further damage to the roads as the weather clears up, restoration work forges ahead. Although most of the residents here are qualified for permanent housing down the mountain, they say this village is where they belong. The continuous heavy downpours constantly change how the river flows, and that makes the road to recovery even harder for residents at Lai village.
Taichung City on Thursday was still experiencing heavy rains. Tzu Chi volunteers used the gap between the downpours to visit care recipients and help clean up the outside of their homes to prevent further flooding.
It is lunchtime and the rain has stopped. Tzu Chi volunteers visit care recipient Mr. Zhang. 2 years ago, Mr. Zheng's ankylosing spondylitis symptoms worsened, and Tzu Chi volunteers aided him in receiving medical care. After the heavy typhoon rains, volunteers are worried about flooding at his home, since he lives on the first floor.
Everything is fine here. Thank you for your concern. Thanks to the Tzu Chi brothers and sisters for coming out here to see me. They brought me delicious vegetarian Zhu Chi yesterday.
Tzu Chi volunteers head on over to their next care recipient. Ms. Su's courtyard at her 3-section compound was flooded from Typhoon Talim.
It just continues to flood and the floor is very wet. I'm scared. There was thunder last night too.
Yesterday, I delivered vegetarian Zhu Chi to them and saw that the front yard was flooded, so I came by today to help in cleaning up.
Some volunteers pick up bamboo brooms and start to sweep up the trash. Others pick up wooden boards to substitute as a shovel to clear away the mud and debris. The ditch now cleared, the weeds growing near the ditch are next to be removed. Care recipient Ms. Su and her daughter chip in. The rain returns, and after shaking hands, Ms. Su watches the volunteers drive off. The gratefulness she has for them, helping out in the rain, is beyond words.
Although the rains brought by Typhoon Talim were less than expected, over 400 residents from Heping district in Taichung were taking no chances with their preparation as their households stand in the path of one of the 41 potential mudslide sites. We now go to Songhe village to see how residents are coping after the typhoon.
What looks like a large waterfall is in fact the normally calm Songhe first stream. With the accumulation of rainfall in the mountains over the past few days, the stream has become a raging torrent.
The Songhe settlement is in line with 3 possible mudslide areas: Songhe First and Second Stream and the Ludu Stream.
I'm standing at the Ludu River near the Songhe settlement. Although now the waters are not that high, but with the recent typhoons, this area reported several serious mudslides.
The 65 residents here live in a mudslide warning zone. During the 7.2 floods 8 years prior, a third of the village was buried. Zhang Xiuzhen lives 800 meters above sea level, where she raises fish for a living. She lost her husband and only son to the mudslides of the 7.2 floods and was forced to start her business over from scratch.
The pressure that I am under is almost to its breaking point.
In her spare time, Xiuzhen copies out the Heart Sutra to pray for peace.
I will burn them as an offering to my family, as a way to pray for peace and good health.
In the settlement's 8th neighborhood, the neighborhood chief Peng Yujiao runs a small market. Across the road are several houses that were buried by earlier mudslides. Now, every time a typhoon approaches, Peng and her family take all the precautions possible.
Experience has taught us the need to protect ourselves.
With no casualties following this typhoon, Peng lets friends and family know she is safe on her Facebook page. With the threat of mudslides ever present, residents have learned to be on their guard and have set up several stations to measure rainfall.
If the rain exceeds 300 millimeters, we will see the condition of the village before deciding if we want to evacuate or not. Heping district has 41 mudslide danger zones. Those living in these danger zones are about 141 families or 267 people.
Overdevelopment and logging have come back to haunt those living in the mountains, who now must be ever on their guard against the wrath of nature with every typhoon.
Tainan district was hit with heavy rains on Wednesday from Typhoon Talim. During the night, a fire broke out in one household. When Tzu Chi volunteers received notice, they immediately arrived to assist in cleaning up.
A fire in Tainan South District left this household with charred rubbles and holes in the roof. Tzu Chi volunteers need to figure out how to prevent water flooding the bottom floors.
We prepared sandbags to prevent water from running downwards before we cleared out the water. We were directed to flow out.
This fire occurred in the early hours on Thursday. The blaze destroyed the 4th floor of the house, and Tzu Chi volunteers rushed to help clean up that same day, relieving the family of the stress of having to worry about the house.
In this situation, we have limited hands in my family to help clean up. And this being a typhoon day, it's unlikely that we can find cleaning services for the work. I'm really thankful to Tzu Chi volunteers for coming out to help us.
Shovel after shovel, assisting in clearing out rubbles, volunteer Ma Guoxiang relates to the scene very well.
Last year, a fire broke out at my house, and Tzu Chi volunteers came to help out. So when I heard about this, I rushed over.
Fire and wind are merciless, but people are compassionate. Tzu Chi volunteers act to warm hearts during this tough time and lead the way for good karma.
Before celebrating the Dragon Boats Festival today, Tzu Chi volunteers in Sydney, Australia gathered at the local Tzu Chi chapter to make vegetarian zongzi to fundraise for those in need. Prior to Dragon Boats Festival, Tzu Chi volunteers in Sydney, Australia gathered at their local chapter to make vegetarian zongzi for a fundraising campaign.
中间这个手指要放进来，好不好？放进来，第二个手指放进来，然后这个手就要帮助他。
Senior volunteers patiently teach those who are making zongzi for the first time. Among them, Liu Zaoming, despite being diagnosed with cancer, is seizing the opportunity to give.
I think that the more you give, the better it is. To me, it is about fighting this illness and not being afraid. People are so frightened when they are diagnosed with cancer. It is not that cancer can't be cured, but that you decide not fight it.
Also suffering from cancer, Simon arrives every day to help boil the sticky rice dumplings.
出血前列腺癌。
哦，是。那现在已经under control 了。係 under control 嘅。
所以你就把握。
係啊，我當我自己冇病㗎。
當他自己沒有病。
Seeing the volunteers' hard work, Tzu Chi contribute by providing massage services. Though volunteers may be physically tired from making zongzi or are relishing in the joy of selfless giving. Also celebrating the Dragon Boats Festival are Toronto Tzu Chi volunteers in Canada who made Chinese scented bags for the seniors at a local nursing home. The volunteers hope to present the seniors with blessings and the joy of the festival.
Stuffing the cotton wool into each pouch and adding a teaspoon of sandalwood powder, Tzu Chi volunteers in Toronto, Canada are making Chinese scented bags for seniors at a local nursing home.
One of our sisters is very kind. She brought some fabric to make the Chinese scented bags and sandalwood powder that has been blessed. The powder will later be added to the bags and given to the seniors at the nursing home.
Happy Dragon Boat Festival! This scented bag smells nice and it has sandalwood powder in it.
The seniors are very happy to receive the fragrant pouches from the volunteers. Every month, Tzu Chi volunteers pay a visit to this nursing home. To celebrate the Dragon Boat Festival, today volunteers livened up the atmosphere with performances.
During our visit to the nursing home, we learned to interact with the seniors. Now I know how to take care of my parents when they are old.
My Cantonese is not that great, but the seniors are really willing to chat with me. It is very heartwarming.
Wearing the scented bags like a charm bracelet, the seniors are very happy to receive this special gift from the volunteers.
Back to Taiwan, to mark a meaningful end to their junior high school life, a group of graduates from Haiduan Junior High School in Taidong County decided to volunteer at Guanshan Tzu Chi Hospital before their graduation ceremony.
Before their graduation ceremony, 25 graduates from Haiduan Junior High School volunteer at the Guanshan Tzu Chi Hospital. The students are accompanied by Tzu Chi volunteers every step of the way, from sorting medical records to taking care of patients.
Our brothers and sisters' compassion is truly admirable. They spend a lot of time volunteering here without pay and reward. Everything they do is to benefit others and not themselves.
Following the volunteers' example to care for the patients, for many students, this is their first time volunteering, and some say that they feel very shy.
I met a grandpa who thought I was too shy. He also told me to be more outgoing, so I'm better prepared for the workforce.
During their visit to the hospital, the students saw how sickness and old age wastes people away. They also learned to have a positive attitude when caring for patients, and most importantly, to have a grateful heart.
Around this year each time, volunteers from all around the globe return to Taiwan to take part in the Overseas Volunteers Training Seminar. Among this year's participants, we meet Tzu Chi volunteer Zheng Shunji, who was inspired to move from England to Ireland to spread Tzu Chi seeds of love.
At Tzu Chi's Overseas Volunteer Training Seminar, Ireland's first Tzu Chi volunteer Zheng Shunji is in attendance. To spread Tzu Chi's mission further, this year Zheng Shunji moved from England to Ireland. In May, he also organized the first Tzu Chi's Buddha Day ceremony in Ireland. The event was attended by people from different ethnicities and faiths. Zheng Shunji says he's thankful for the supermarket owner who provided the venue to Tzu Chi.
We decided to hold our Buddha Day ceremony at the biggest local Chinese market because there are many customers and Asians.
To spread Tzu Chi's mission in Ireland, where no man has done it before, Zheng Shunji has to start everything from scratch. His motivation comes from his devotion to Master Zhen Yan.
第一个就是上人上人，我爱你。
Master, I love you. Master, I thank you. And Master, I'm always at your service. I say that I love the Master, but actually I love my wisdom life even more, because it is given to me by the Master. Great love is loving kindness, compassion, joy, and equanimity. I thank the Master because she taught me a lot. And lastly, I'm willing to do anything and be happy to bear it.
Said he doesn't need anything. Due to the Euro crisis, more and more homeless people appear on the street of Ireland. To spread Tzu Chi's mission further, Zheng Shunji and other volunteers walk along the street, bring food and blessings to the homeless. Zheng Shunji hopes to encourage more people to join Tzu Chi.
We now go behind the scenes of the Tzu Chi training seminar for overseas volunteers and join local volunteers in Santong who made sure the clothes, food and accommodation were as welcoming as possible for their brothers and sisters from abroad.
Here you can find all the apparel and accessories that complete the Tzu Chi uniform. Even the shoes come in all sizes. Tailors are on standby to give the clothes the perfect fit.
It's been tailored so well, it fits perfectly. I'm very happy with it. Thank you.
As for the clothes, we will find out which countries the volunteers are coming from and prepare the ones they need accordingly.
At the Tzu Chi Sanchong chapter, those attending the overseas volunteer seminar have been given first-class treatment by local volunteers.
This is a card to welcome them home from overseas. The bed says must also be neat.
Meanwhile, in the kitchen, menu planning takes a new turn as the torrential rains in Taiwan last week raised prices on ingredients.
The price of vegetables has gone up. We try to buy seasonal ones that are cheaper. The master tells us to be frugal and use whatever we can find for our menu, including vegetable stems. It's also about zero kitchen scraps.
Even watermelon skins make a great ingredient for these home cookings with a strong Taiwanese flavor.
We have prepared Taiwanese specialties like steamed fried rolls, taro buns, and turnip cakes. We want our fellow volunteers from overseas to get a taste of Taiwanese street food.
Making sure everyone is well clothed and fed, volunteers hope their overseas counterparts will have a great learning experience in Taiwan.
Philippines Tzu Chi volunteers recently distributed rice in Barangay Santo Domingo in Quezon City, helping a total of 887 households. Some of the families were among the 5 victims Tzu Chi helped in 2009. To reciprocate Tzu Chi's love, this time many fire survivors donated their recyclables to the Buddhist NGO so they can also help the needy.
On June 8th of 2009, a fire broke out in Barangay Santo Domingo, leaving over 200 households homeless. Upon receiving the news, Tzu Chi volunteers rushed to the scene, bringing relief materials to fire victims. Aniseta Abuya, who is a survivor of the fire in 2009, makes a living as a trash picker. She has a family of 8 to feed and only earns about $28 a month.
The money I make is not enough to support my family. We often don't have enough money to buy food because I need to pay for my children's tuition fees too.
Coming to Barangay Santo Domingo for the second time, today Tzu Chi volunteers are distributing rice to 887 households. The 20 kilogram of rice can support these families for weeks.
Almost 1,000 families ang natulungan sa atin.
Thank you, Tzu Chi, for helping nearly 1,000 households. You're always here to help us.
To reciprocate Tzu Chi's love, local residents donate money and recyclables to Tzu Chi.
2009 na. Nagsimula kami pagkatapos. We have been collecting recyclables for Tzu Chi after the fire disaster in 2009. We also donated money to our coin banks so we can help others in need.
Sa tulad namin.
Unlike the relief supplies they received 3 years ago, the aid recipients know that this time the provisions are not only filled with the love from Tzu Chi, but also the love from their own hearts.
This year, the annual United Nations Conference on Sustainable Development is being held in Rio de Janeiro in Brazil, with participants from over 140 countries to share ideas on a sustainable future. Among them are volunteers from the US and Brazil who co-hosted a conference with the NGOs Solo Cookers International and the Hunger Project and introduced Master Tzu Chi's philosophy of eating only 80% full and leaving the rest for those in greater need.
This year's United Nations Conference on Sustainable Development is being held in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. Although the official opening is set for June 20th, since the 13th there have been dozens of side events held. It is estimated that over 50,000 people from over 140 different countries will be attending the conference, and among them are Tzu Chi volunteers from the United States and Brazil.
So we're here at the Rio Central Convention Center in the temporary side events pavilion. And right now, we're all going around passing out flyers for our side event tomorrow.
On June 17th, Tzu Chi held a conference entitled The Other Half of Development, Patterns of Sustainable Consumption, in which it introduced its philosophy of the 80-20 diet, using examples drawn from farmers in Myanmar.
Is a part of the rice. The group of the farmers, they collect their compassion, they collect their rice, and then they donated 800 bags of seeds of love.
A little earlier, I was impressed about the presentations from the two participants, and I also appreciated the effort in trying to bring people together, to show love to the world, to show love to people, love yourself and love others. I'm so glad that I was part of this event, where people have concern for the entire world.
Yeah, it was fantastic for me, and to see how projects going on with the concept of sustainable development, especially about when I hear about Myanmar's case. The victims now became donors. It's really fantastic. This is why I'm working for an NGO.
Over 100 events were scheduled in a week prior to the official opening of the conference. Participants eagerly used the time to exchange ideas, as everyone worked together towards the goal of finding sustainable methods of development for the future.
At the end of today's program, we go to Malaysia and join Tzu Chi volunteers in Kedah, who, just like their counterparts in Australia, are making vegetarian zongzi to raise funds for the construction of a dialysis centre and an education centre. With help from local residents, volunteers made over 10,000 sticky rice dumplings. That's all the time we have for. Enjoy your weekend. Goodbye.